We're rolling. We're rolling. We are live. We are back for the third edition of Monday Market Meetup. So very excited to have my good friend, business partner, and investor and flip extraordinaire, Mr.
Of
Aaron Bedor. So thanks for spending a couple minutes with us this morning, um,
course.
dude. So you are associate broker of Mitten Made Properties, right?
Correct.
Awesome. And then how long have you had your Mitten Made Properties with EXP?
We're coming up on, oh gosh, with EXP, probably like 7 or 8 years now. So once it's past
Okay.
five, it's a lot.
For sure. Yeah, but the team was formed even a little bit prior to that, though, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
been in real estate for about going on 11 years now.
Okay. Right on. And I know just having the pleasantry of being able to work with you over the last several years. You guys have also kind of developed inside of your team an investment arm, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I'd like to be able to touch a little bit on today. Just not only as a buyer or somebody who's looking to be able to invest in flips, but also as an agent, right? The idea for
Yep.
this is to be able to have with some quick tips and tricks and hints for other agents and people in the industry to be able to maybe get some information for themselves if they're looking into investing or flipping, or b as an agent if you're looking to maybe expand your portfolio and like widen the breadth of the people that you want to service, get into people who are investing. So
Yeah.
with that said, we'll kind of hop right into it. And so the first question that I have for you out of three
Mhm.
is kind of in the mind as you as an investor, right? So when you and your team are going to look at properties investor, can you kind of share with us some of the top kind of bullet points of the things that you guys are going to look for that are going to help determine if a property is good to be able to invest in or flip, or how you guys go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I even jump into that, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about just why we even started going down this road. Is everyone knows as agents, and Ryan, mortgages and stuff like that, is we're always chasing that next to maybe commission check or what have you. And so with the kind of transactions that we do, you got to build up your SOI. But at the end of the day, residual income is just not something we have a whole ton of in our industry. So in looking at that, we had two kind of angles when we first started going down the investment property route. So one was obviously increasing the amount of out of money that we're making, because then we can go put that into investments like apartments and multifamily and stuff that has cash flow, right? So our method was flipping, but before even that is we started really trying to learn a lot about, okay, what are other investors looking for so that I could add another arm, and you already alluded to this, another arm of revenue for our business. And then eventually you can start investing on your own once you learn the game. So to answer your question about, hey, what are the important factors we're looking at determining a property? So first and foremost, it's a pretty obvious one. It's one that is maybe a little bit dilapidated. 99% of the time, single family homes, the way to add value is to rehab the property. So, sometimes with like rentals, you can, you can bring in like property management, have better tenants in there. That's a good way to add value. Look, if you're a big developer, you could add value by buying land and putting more houses in a neighborhood and that sort of thing. But usually on the lower level in a single family home that needs work, that is the first and foremost the best way to look at the factors that we look at. So, and that works well where I mean, all of us, most agents that are going to be listening to this, you've been to a listing appointment and you're walking through and you're like, shoot, dude, how am I gonna put this on the market and sell it? This is pretty tough. So just trying to find out, what the sellers are looking to do, what the motivation is, but literally, okay, get really good at identifying what areas in the house that you could then rehab or identify to an investor that needs rehab. We always start with the main things are the kitchen and
Mhm.
the master suite, we'll say, or primary suite, whatever we're calling it these days. If you can rehab those things and make those really attractive, you've really done yourself, really, really well. So those would be a couple of things. And then the other important factor that I just remembered as well is you wanna protect yourself a little bit. So as agents, if you're having a hard time comping a property that you're looking and it's really needs a ton of work, the numbers make sense, but you're having a really hard time figuring out what it's going to be worth after you're done repairing it because it's in a really rural area or the comps aren't there, that's not something that's probably going to be super viable for you because if you're having a hard time comping it, then an appraiser is too. So protecting yourself on both ends. So
Yeah.
hopefully that all makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, and I appreciate that. And that actually helps kind of segue into the second question. But just to kind of put a cap on the first question, as far as some of the things you're looking at, basically, obviously, there's got to be value add, right? And
Yep.
whether you have the capacity, I know you guys have like a crew and a team that can come in and kind of be a part of the renovations and the rehabs and stuff like
Mhm.
that. What would you say? Is probably the biggest like immediate no. Is it like if there's fire or water damage or roof or whatever? Like what's kind of just the biggest no for
That's a
you guys?
great question. So that actually has changed over time, which is kind of fun. So when we first were going into this and we didn't have like crews that we had been working with for a long time, didn't have a high level of comfortability, we anything that was like pretty major, you mentioned fire damage, foundation issues, even major stuff like a roof or whatever, we were literally looking for cosmetic flips that we could work with somebody that was a little bit more general contractor, floor doors, trim and paint, right? Then as we built our team and built things up over time, now nothing really scares us as long as the numbers make sense. So we'll take something that even if we have to tear it down, but that took time. So some of that is
Yep.
just gotta, getting a feel for what your threshold for risk is and how good your team is and how long you've been working with contractors, stuff like that.
Okay. No, awesome, man. No, yeah. I mean, it's
Mhm.
you don't for your first at bat, maybe you're not swinging for the fences,
That's
right?
right. That's
Right.
right.
All right. Yeah.
And people and two things happen with that is so it in my view it's a lot better to go hit three singles than a home run for two reasons. One, if you make a bunch of mistakes on that home run try, then you're going to knock yourself right out of that business. Or also, it can breed overconfidence, where if you hit one home run, then you start thinking that every one and every single deal is going to be a home run. I've seen people run themselves out of the business that way too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great way to put that, man. You swing for the fences, you get tired real quick, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's right.
that's as we say, baseball, that checks out, right? So,
Yeah.
um, but as you kind of transitioned really well into kind of looking at as a buyer and a consumer, and then you're like one of the things to look for as an agent. And
Mhm.
so my second question is that of now I need you to put your agent hat on, right? So when you're
Right.
when you're working with somebody or you have a client that is an investor, regardless whether they're first time or they're extremely vetted, seasoned,
Mhm.
as an agent, what are the things that you would recommend to your client to be able to like help them invest or invest, wisely or in a smart way?
Yep. Absolutely. I think I believe that one of the biggest mistakes you can do or have as an agent is you start putting yourself into the realm of, well, I wouldn't invest in this property, right? Because
Mhm.
everyone has a different buy box for, and that's what we call it is investors. You call it your buy box, right? So some people are at different stages of investing. Some people really specialize in different things. So for instance, we only do flips in Michigan because we want to get a bunch of cash to put into apartments. There's a lot of people that do only rentals in certain areas in Michigan, totally fine. Some people do only Airbnbs up north. All depends on your strategy, right? Now, I had someone really recently where he is going to be a first time investor and he doesn't know the totally the ins and outs. All he knows is that he wants to invest in real estate and he wants to park the money there for a little bit more of like a longer term appreciation play and for tax purposes. So he is not nearly as concerned about the immediate cash flow. And as a matter of fact, even take a little bit of a loss is not the end of the world to him. Everyone's strategy is a little bit different. So to answer your question in short is you got to talk to your investor and figure out exactly what their needs and strategy are, whether they're new or not. Seasoned investors are going to have that a little more dialed, but hey, Mr. Investor, what are you looking to do? What's your time horizon? How often do you want to be doing this? Do you want to be heavily involved or not really involved as much as all that's going to tell you whether or not you'd be recommending property management to them? This particular investor, I will not invest in condos because you have HOAs involved. You have too many unknowns, right?
Right.
Well, his son is attending Michigan State, so he wanted a really nice condo with nice amenities that he could rent out to his son, and then become student housing afterwards. Makes money over time over the next 10 years, right? Totally different
Yeah.
strategy. perfectly viable. The biggest thing is just start asking questions of those guys, and then you'll be able to help them adequately by putting your realtor hat on and start going and trying to find those properties for them.
Yeah, no, awesome, man. So, I mean, it's all about the discovery process, right? So you find somebody is buying a primary residence. It's location, proximity to work, maybe school district if they have kids or whatever, right? And then if it's an investor, then it sounds like, hey, what's the plan for this? So we're looking for immediate cash return. Is it somewhere to park maybe a
Yep.
1031 or another investment?
Yep.
What's the long term play? So it sounds like you're taking into account more of like the potential for the property and what the needs of that person is, and insofar
Mhm.
as do I want money now or do I need money later, instead
Yep.
of hey, am I worried that this has the right size white picket privacy fence for my dog Fido and stuff?
100%, 100%.
Yeah,
No, and to that end too, like I said, those kind of properties and those kind of projects, that's something where, and you've heard me. I mean, we've been working together for a long time. I've been like, man, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, but other people are making tons of money with it. It's just different strokes for different folks, you know. So
yeah, yeah.
that's
As they
all good.
say, don't yuck somebody else's yum.
That's right. That's right there.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to kind of start to wrap things up here, and definitely appreciate some of this quick insight. I know obviously
Sure.
there's so much more to delve into when it comes to investing or just it leading or looking in yourself. So I appreciate that. But the last thing
Yeah.
is just kind of as an overview, what would you say is like summarize or kind of categorize some of the most important parts of investing. Now, not necessarily like I'm not even thinking like, okay, cool, like reiterate some of the things you said, right? But like just as a whole, what's something that if somebody's looking to be able to invest, what's a good mindset that they should have, or something they should know to expect or think about, or anything like that? Any tricks or tips for those people?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think that the agent community is a little bit underserved in terms of being able to show how, like, the investing side of real estate is just so much of a different animal. So what I would say is, fortunately, in the year of our Lord 2025, there's so many resources and so many places to get information that, like, I started my whole investment journey by working with investor client that was only do flips. So that allowed me, he taught me how to do rehab estimates, right? That was super valuable. And that is a skill where now I can walk into a house with pretty minimal homework and give you a pretty good feel within 10% of what it's going to take to do the rehab of the property. It's a very valuable skill to have as we're just kind of walking through. Um, Not only for myself, but investor buyers and also my sellers. So that's one of the things where I would recommend checking out some courses. There are meetups all over the place. There is YouTube for tons of free information, and I would lean towards, hey, how to do deal analysis. So you already know how to run comps, right? Now, what you need to do is go find what's called the ARV, the after repair value, and then find out what it's going to take to rehab it up to that level. And then another thing is find someone that is ahead of you. Find someone that is doing this well. This is a cliche, but I am dead serious. Find someone that is doing this well, and is open to meeting with you. Buy them lunch. Come ready with 9 to 10 pretty prepared questions. Just dive into that, and then at the very end of it, ask them how you can add value to their day, and you'd be
Yeah,
surprised at the answers. So in kind of closing this, Ryan, and again, thanks for having me on this. This is always fun to talk about because it's something
of
I'm really
course, man.
passionate about. For agents and just giving them another avenue to be able to be successful. It's no secret, production's down across the board. Over the past year or so. I would love for agents to be able to get into something like this where they can then supplement their income and stay in the industry and stay working and all that other sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I this whole premise started with the fact of how can we add value to sellers. So as I mentioned earlier, putting a house on the market that is turnkey, ready to go, super updated, does not take an expert necessarily to do. There is marketing, there's staging, there's things you need to know, right? But the challenging part of a lot of these is, okay, this needs a lot of work. So you can go in and give your seller three options. You can say, hey, here's what it's going to take to fix this yourselves. And be getting good at repair estimates and having good vendors and contacts for those guys really is valuable. So go line yourself up with a good general contractor, a good plumber, good roofer, et cetera, and start feeding them some business. And you can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is going to take you 45, 50 grand to do these repairs. if you do this, then we can sell your house for X amount of dollars. That's going to be worth the money, or it's not. You can help them determine that.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
or you do the comps and you tell them, here's what the price is to sell it as is. Or as an investor, you can then bring them a cash offer where you know how much the repairs are going to take and what your maybe your investor that you're working with, what their numbers look like. And if they're interested in buying a house like that, you can say, hey, I'm bringing you a cash offer where maybe it's a little less than you were looking to take, but it's a no headache, no inspection. You're done in 2 weeks, got your money, you're moving to Florida, everybody's happy. So just gives them
Right.
options, which is at the end of the day, all you want to do for anybody.
Yeah. No, no, super, super good, man. I mean, what it sounded like, and then we'll end on this. It's kind of going to be a yes or no thing, a kind of recap. So you're basically saying, like, do your homework, right? If you've never
Mhm.
done it, do your homework. Find groups. There's other communities that are out there that are going to be more willing, happy to be able to assist you in those things. Finding somebody ahead of you who's already do it, right? A little bit further down the road. Just a
Mhm.
genius cheat code. And then obviously like have crew, right? Like
Yeah.
identify those things. Now, my last question for you, and then we'll wrap it up, is what would you say to somebody who doesn't have any of that at all, but is still super eager to be able to invest? Would you say either A, listen, like you jump out the nest and grow your wings as you fly?
Mhm.
Or would you say, hey, listen, like if you build it, they'll come. Let's get the crew together. Let's get a little bit of information and knowledge under our belt and find, somebody to help mentor us and then go after that. So which way would you go?
Without question, the second one, and here's why, is if you don't have the infrastructure, the capital, and that sort of thing, but you've got time, energy, a wherewithal, excitement, pick your thing, right? Is a lot of investors or a lot of business owners in this area, they do not have as much time as they would like. So if you meet with that mentor, meet with that person that's ahead of you, and you ask them that important question that I mentioned, how can I add value to you? You'd be surprised. They will tell you, hey, when you're out driving around for showings and you see a dilapidated house, you text me the address. I'll give you 10% of the profit. I've seen deals like that before. So you get creative, find someone that's ahead of you that can help you with all those things that you don't have, and you'd be surprised how fast you turn corners.
I love it, man. Nope. Yeah,
Yeah.
just being willing to take a smaller piece of the pie because 100% of something's better than 0% of nothing, right?
Amen to that.
My man, my man. All right, brother. Well, that's our time, dude. I again always appreciate you. You're the man. I
Always.
appreciate you not only obviously as a friend, but just an industry expert and someone to give out good examples and information out there all around. So
Always,
thanks again
brother.
for joining us. If you got any other questions, anybody that's watching this, we'll have Aaron's contact information,
Yep.
and you guys can hit him up and maybe take him out to lunch. And I'm sure he'd be happy to kind of be that mentor person, put you in and for some
100%.
learning process. Cool, my man. All right, guys. Well, have a great rest of your team or your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
See ya.